It's August 12th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. Starting with the 2024 Paris Olympics and its grand closing ceremony. The Summer Games returned to Paris after a century came to an end on Sunday with a star-studded closing ceremony and also a preview of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. Team Korea is returning home with 13 gold, 9 silver and 10 bronze medals, its best finish since the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Tensions are escalating between Russia and Ukraine, with Moscow now warning it will deliver a tougher response to Ukraine's surprise incursion into Russian territory. Ukraine is accusing Russia of using North Korean missiles to attack Kyiv. More and more foreigners are coming to South Korea to study or for training, with great interest in learning the Korean language and more about the country, thanks to the growing popularity of K-pop and Korean culture. In fact, a record 200,000 foreigners came to the country to study in the first half of 2024. Paris wrapped up the Summer Olympics' first return to the city in 100 years on Sunday, with a sneak peek of the next one in LA in 2028. Team Korea managed to place themselves 8th on the medal table. Our Kim Jong-sil has more.
The 17-day international sports event has come to a close. For the first time at the Olympics, a winner of women's marathon got her medal at the closing ceremony. Sifan Hassan from the Netherlands received her gold. Often referred to as the highlight of the Olympics, until now, men's marathon winners would traditionally receive their medals at the closing ceremony. This time at the Paris Olympics, though, the last day ceremony was saved sorely for women. South Korea continued collecting medals until the final day. Sung Seung-min claimed bronze in the women's modern pentathlon on Sunday, becoming the first Asian woman to win an Olympic medal in the sport. 21-year-old Park Hye-jung won silver in the women's over 81-kilogram weightlifting, the first Olympic weightlifting medal in 8 years for South Korea. Those added to South Korea's medal tally as the country finished 8th with 13 gold, 9 silver, and 10 bronze medals. This is a joint highest number of golds won by South Korea, tying with its record from Beijing 2008 and London 2012. The U.S. won the most medals with 126. The highlight of the closing ceremony came with the Hollywood-style handover. Tom Cruise appeared like a scene from a Mission Impossible movie, standing on the roof of the Stade de France. He leaped down into the stadium before speeding off on a motorcycle with the Olympic flag. The closing ceremony then transitioned into a video of the actor skydiving down to the Hollywood sign, which was decorated with the 5 Olympic rings, giving a sneak peek of the LA Olympics in 2028. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
President Yoon Suk-yeol praised all the athletes and coaches who took part in the Paris Olympics, saying the 17-day sporting event will be unforgettable for all Koreans. In a Facebook message on Sunday, Yoon said, even though South Korea had sent the smallest team since the 1984 Olympics, Team Korea achieved an outstanding result, scooping up 13 gold medals, 9 silver, and 10 bronze. The leader remarked that not only the medalists, but every single athlete gave their all and surpassed their limits, inspiring and moving the nation. He said the nation will continue to back the future of Korean sport and told the athletes to continue challenging themselves. And a number of Korean athletes really made the most of the Summer Games, not just in terms of their performance, but also for their charms and unique qualities. An Sung-jin tells us more.
The 2024 Paris Olympics has been eye-grabbing, not only for its fierce competition and performances, but also for its behind-the-scenes moments that show another side to the athletes. South Korean table tennis player Shin Yu-bin is one of them. The 20-year-old won fans at home and abroad when the scene of her eating bananas, rice balls, and peaches went viral. She also had pictures of her with an ice pouch on her head, bringing even more attention. Her cute image gave her the nickname Byagi, which mimics the sound of a chick chirping in Korean. As Olympic stars grab attention, related products have also gained popularity. Peaches similar to the one eaten by Shin saw sales surge within days, and the number of searches for them also went up. Similarly, a pop-up store in Seoul saw strong sales of photo cards with various national team players on them, which had a 1-gram gold medal added. Most of the photo cards were already sold out early on. Commemorative coins for the Paris Olympics sold in convenience stores in South Korea were all sold out as well, reaching sales of up to 50 million won, or $36,000. As viewers found interest in Olympic stars, some enjoyed a bump in their popularity. National fencer Oh Sang-uk has been gaining fame for his charms. The 27-year-old was the first Korean fencer to win 2 gold medals in a single Olympics game. Since his appearance at the Olympics, his social media followers nearly doubled. South Korean silver-winning pistol shooter Kim Ye-ji also became a notable star as one of the coolest athletes. She went viral on social media with her style, futuristic eyeglasses, and cold chic look. Even Elon Musk, the head of Tesla Motors and social media platform X, commented on the platform that Kim should be cast in an action movie. The Olympic Games is about more than just the matches. It becomes an opportunity to get closer to the athletes that shine for the country. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
North Korea sending up trash-carrying balloons resumed over the weekend, but this time only about 10 over 200 balloons ended up in the south. For more, we're joined by Professor Brian Marsh this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
This time, the North sent around 240 balloons carrying trash toward the south, and about 10 of them landed here in the south. Now, what happened to the majority of them?
Well, apparently the wind was blowing in the wrong direction, which sent most of the balloons back into North Korea or further into North Korea. And I think this shows that this is a country where the orders are given at the very top by Kim Jong-un himself, and then the people on the ground, the military in this instance, carry them out without questioning. I think they must have realized that the wind was blowing in the wrong direction, but they launched the balloons anyway. I think this also reflects the resolve and the urgency with which Kim Jong-un insisted on another launch.
Right, and this is already the regime's 11th round of doing so since May this year. Professor Myers, what do you think was the reason for doing so this time? I'm sure it has its own reasons.
Well, I think the loudspeakers along the DMZ have angered the regime because it has to use precious energy by blasting its own loudspeakers to drown out the South's broadcasts, which are more hard-hitting than they were when the Park Geun-hye government turned on the loudspeakers in 2015. Back then it was just K-pop, and now it's really harsh criticism. And you know, apart from the summit with Putin, this year hasn't gone well for Kim Jong-un. We've had the flood damage. A high-level diplomatic defector has gone public in South Korea. Kim's health is getting worse. And someone ran away to South Korea just the other day who lived near the DMZ and may have been influenced by the loudspeakers. So when you add the South Korean defector groups balloon launches, I think the regime is becoming really desperate to shut down this heterodox propaganda that's coming into the country.
It has been a tough year for North Korea, especially with the latest, flood damage over the summer. And North Korea technically rejected South Korea's offer to provide humanitarian aid for, the flood damage. Instead, the leader, Kim Jong-un, decided to visit a county to meet flood victims staying at a temporary shelter. What's your take on his visit?
Well, I was quite impressed, actually, by how well that visit was staged. Though I guess to be fair to Kim Jong-un, he does appear to genuinely enjoy meeting people. He clearly likes children, in contrast to his father, who was a much more cold and distant figure. Now, this doesn't translate into any serious effort to improve the living conditions of his people, but all the same, these displays of concern and solicitude go down very well in North Korea, and they're really central to the personality cult. Here in South Korea, presidents get mixed reactions when they visit disaster sites because there's always some people who react angrily. But in North Korea, people blame the bureaucrats for their problems and not the leader. And I'm sure a lot of propaganda capital is going to be drawn from these visits for years to come.
Professor Myers, let's also talk about what happened during the Olympic period. North Korea has unilaterally applied to list Taekwondo, the traditional martial arts, as a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage. Why such a move, now?
Well, the application was apparently initiated a few months ago, but it may have been timed to become a news story during the Olympics, which always heightens the world awareness of Taekwondo. And the Olympics are also a time when South Korean athletes vastly outperform the North's athletes. And while that shouldn't matter very much to Pyongyang, I think it does. Now, by unilaterally applying to UNESCO, the North is trying to present itself as the true guardian of the Taekwondo tradition. The more important goal is to keep reminding the South Korean people that inter-Korean relations are bad. You know, whatever was agreed upon between North and South during the Moon Jae-in years must now be ostentatiously reversed or dismantled or canceled. And this is one of those things. You know, in the inter-Korean honeymoon year of 2018, North and South Korea discussed making a joint approach to UNESCO in regard to this Taekwondo listing.
I see. Before I let you go, Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, was spotted serving Kim's daughter, Chue, with, extra care and politeness last week. Some say this is a really rare scene. How is it? What does that mean?
Well, as you know better than I do, Korean etiquette normally dictates that no matter how rich or important your dad is, you show respect to your dad's sister and not the other way around.
Right.
So what we have here is a kind of monarchical protocol. It's like you would see at a royal court. And it's a bit surprising to me because the regime has spent years trying to make Kim Yo-jong look like a kind of vice president, and she's played a bad cop role, making the really stern or angry announcements to South Korea that her brother doesn't want to make himself. But by showing respect to a child like this, she's making very clear that she doesn't have much power at all and that this isn't a party state, but an absolute monarchy. And I think it's unwise, I think it's rash, but it indicates that Kim Jong-un, who's clearly in bad health, wants the public to accept his daughter as fast as possible as a viable successor.
Maybe. All right, Professor Myers, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
President Yoon Suk-yeol returned to his state duties on Sunday after his week-long vacation, during which he met with market merchants and South Korea's armed forces. Now, his first task was to name incumbent Vice Justice Minister Shim Woo-jung as candidate for Prosecutor General. On Tuesday, the president is likely to veto the opposition party's unilateral passing of contentious bills on broadcasting, unionized workers, and a universal cash handout of around $180 per person. It will also grant special Liberation Day pardons, likely to include former Gyeongsangnam-do Governor Kim Kyung-soo. According to sources in the ruling party, Yoon and First Lady Kim Gon-hee are planning to meet former President Lee Myung-bak and his wife for dinner, with Yoon likely to seek advice on his experience of clinching Korea's first nuclear power plant export deal with the United Arab Emirates. Also this week, President Yoon Suk-yeol is planning to introduce a new vision for the unification of South and North Korea, 30 years after Seoul set out a three-stage formula on how to achieve the task. Our Oh Soo-young explains.
President Yoon Suk-yeol will initiate a new discourse on Korean unification as he delivers a speech this week to mark Korea's liberation from Japanese colonization on Thursday. An official from the office of the president told Arirang News that the South Korean leader will share his thoughts on unification with the public during his speech on Liberation Day, building on the national community unification formula introduced by former President Kim Young-sam in his own Liberation Day speech 30 years ago. The formula envisions a three-stage unification, beginning with reconciliation and cooperation, a union between the South and North before they completely unite as a country. The two Koreas are still in a state of ceasefire after the 1950-53 war, with tensions escalated by the North's nuclear and missile threat. Yoon is expected to emphasize the need to update the unification discourse to reflect the changing times as seen in global politics and inter-Korean relations. He is also likely to highlight the value of liberal democracy, taking into account the human rights violations by the North Korean regime. Yoon has previously said unification is needed to expand the universal values of freedom and human rights enshrined in South Korean democracy. South Korea's constitution does not recognize the North as a separate state and seeks peaceful unification based on a free and democratic order. Meanwhile, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un earlier this year called to revise the North's constitution, deeming Seoul its principal enemy and setting out to completely occupy and subjugate the South in the event of war. The Kim regime has ignored Seoul's call for dialogue and diplomacy towards a peaceful resolution of Pyongyang's threat to regional security. In his Liberation Day speech in 2022, Yoon introduced this audacious initiative, a roadmap for the denuclearization of North Korea, with corresponding measures to provide food, energy, infrastructure and healthcare for its people. A survey last year showed 43.8% of South Korean adults believe unification is necessary, down 10 percentage points from 2019. Resolving North Korea's nuclear threat was deemed the most important task for unification, followed by the easing of military tensions, then economic and cultural exchanges. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Moscow says Ukrainian troops have advanced some 30 kilometers inside Russia. And Russia is continuing airstrikes against major Ukrainian cities, including Kyiv, with Moscow found to be using North Korean missiles. Lee Seung-jae reports.
During the 2.5 years of the war in Ukraine, Russia has been on the offensive for the most part, with Ukraine doing all it can to defend itself. But the tide has seemingly turned, with Ukraine now sending troops into Russia. The Ukrainian offensive in Russia's Kursk region is now on the 6th day, with Moscow calling it a federal emergency and admitting that Ukrainian troops have advanced far into its territory. According to Moscow's defense ministry on Sunday, Ukrainian troops have advanced some 30 kilometers inside Russia in what is being considered the most significant infiltration within the Russian territory since the war began in February 2022. The comments come a day after Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky confirmed that his troops are fighting in Russia.
Today, I received several reports from Commander-in-Chief Syrskyi regarding the front lines and our actions to push the war onto the aggressor's territory. I'm grateful to every Defense Forces unit for ensuring that. Ukraine is proving that it can indeed restore justice and ensure the necessary pressure on the aggressor.
The statements marked the first time that the Ukrainian president had officially admitted to the incursion, having remained quiet despite being days into its operation. In response to the Ukrainian offensive, Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova accused Ukraine of intimidating the peaceful population of Russia. Meanwhile, Russia has continued its airstrikes in major Ukrainian cities overnight, including the capital Kyiv, killing 2 people, including a 4-year-old child and his father. Kyiv's Air Force says it shot down 53 of the 57 Russian attack drones, adding that Russia had used North Korea's KN-23 short-range ballistic missiles during the offensive. With Ukraine sending its troops inside Russia and Moscow looking to both counter and respond to their offensives, the prolonged war could see more bloodshed moving forward. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The number of foreigners coming to South Korea to study or for training exceeded 200,000 in the first half of 2024 for the first time. According to data from the Korea Tourism Organization on Monday, the number of foreigners visiting the country to study or train in the first half rose by 50.6% on year to 204,000. That's the highest ever. The increase in foreigners looking to learn Korean and studying Korea has increased due to the rise in popularity of K-pop and Korean culture. Now, by country, people from China were the largest group at 55.2% of the total, followed by Vietnam and Japan.
Good morning. I'm Kim Si-young, and this is The World Now. Now, with the U.S. Democratic National Convention set to take place in Chicago next week, President Joe Biden, former President Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have been confirmed as speakers at the convention. The Democratic Convention, which runs from August 19th to 22nd, will see Vice President Kamala Harris formally accept the Democratic Party's nomination to run for the presidency. Now, Harris, who is the first black woman and first Indian American to secure the major party's presidential nomination in the U.S., raised a historic $310 million for her campaign last month. Over the weekend, Biden also gave his first interview since withdrawing from the White House race, telling CBS Sunday Morning that he quit his re-election bid to defeat Trump. Biden said he feared that an intra-party battle regarding his candidacy would be a real distraction for Democrats and that he would do whatever Vice President Harris thinks needed to be done to beat Trump. Now moving over to Uganda, the collapse of a landfill site in the country's capital, Kampala, has killed at least 21 people as of Sunday, with local police saying that casualties may rise further. After weeks of torrential rain, a hill of garbage at the city's only landfill site collapsed late on Friday, burying and crushing homes on the edges of the site as residents slept. Kampala City Police confirmed that at least 21 deaths have been reported so far, while at least 14 have been rescued. The Kampala City Authority added that while details of the accident were yet unclear, there was a structural failure in waste mass that triggered the landslide. President Yoweri Museveni ordered an investigation into the incident, while stating that he had directed the removal of all residents living near the Kitizi landfill site. Kampala authorities have reportedly been considering closing the landfill site and moving it to a larger area outside the city, but the plan has so far failed to take place. Now, following Friday's plane crash in Brazil that killed 62 people on board, the chief of the Brazilian Aviation Accident Investigation Center said Sunday that 100% of the data from the aircraft's black boxes had been fully extracted and are being analyzed. Speaking at a press conference, Marcelo Moreno said that the black boxes, which include voice recordings and flight data, are being analyzed by Canadian and French experts, technicians from the manufacturer of the aircraft, ATR, and the engine manufacturer, Pratt & Whitney, alongside the authority. The ATR-72 turboprop, bound for Sao Paulo from Cascavel, crashed at around 1:30 p.m. local time on Friday, some 80 kilometers northwest of Sao Paulo. According to the Brazilian Air Force, the aircraft was flying normally until 1:21 p.m. before losing radar contact at 1:22 p.m. and no emergency was reported by pilots. Moreno said a preliminary report would be released within 30 days. Now finally, Australian Olympic breaking athlete Rachel Gunn, known as B-Girl Ray Gunn, broke social media with her performance at the Olympic event on Friday. 36-year-old Gunn, a lecturer at Macquarie University in Sydney, researching cultural politics of breaking, left fans puzzled by her dancing, which included laying on the stage with incomplete moves and flailing around with her hand and her chin and jumping around, appearing to mimic a kangaroo. Gunn lost all 3 of her round-robin battles without scoring a single point at the Games. While Gunn received ridicule on social media, Olympic breaking chief judge Martin Mgibility Gillian said B-Girl Ray Gunn had done nothing wrong even though she failed to score a point, adding that she was trying to be original and bring something new to the table.
Good morning. The searing stretch of weather continues today and through this week, with temperatures showing no signs of backing off. Seoul has had 22 consecutive days of tropical nights as of today. Last year, we had 24 tropical nights, so very likely we'll break last year's record this summer. And there will be a chance of rain during the day. 5 to 40 millimeters of passing showers are in the forecast, along with thunderstorms. UV rays, though, will beam down until that rain passes. Afternoon temperatures will be similar to slightly higher than yesterday. Seoul and Daejeon getting up to 35 degrees Celsius. Chuncheon, Daegu, Gyeongju should see a high of 34 degrees this afternoon. Heat stress is a leading cause of weather-related death, so take good care of yourself. The first half of the week looks to be hotter, while Thursday marks National Liberation Day here in Korea. And usually heat dies down a bit around the holiday, but that doesn't seem like being the case this year. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. Have a wonderful start to the week.